Albert Einstein once said if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. What was your moment when someone judged you like that? In kindergarten we were learning penmanship and my teacher was telling us how to write our alphabet, but for some reason I could not write the letters no matter how hard I tried. Since I was able to write the alphabet before, I got very frustrated and started crying. Turns out she was showing the class how to do letters with your right hand and I was left-handed. I'm a dog walker on the side but also run my own online business which makes pretty good money. A lot of the owners really are disrespectful and act as if I'm stupid cause I walk dogs to make money. Like I'm not stupid, I'm just trying to lose weight and get extra money while you're sitting on your couch and can't walk your own damn dog but then give me dirty looks. I only expressed interest in a few things when I was a kid: cooking, making games. My parents told me they were bad careers and made me play soccer and do scouts and other things I hated. I was terrible academically all the way through the end of college, where I studied management, because these things I was told I was supposed to be doing were of zero interest to me. A few years out I taught myself to code, and now I spend my life making games and cooking for friends, and I'm fucking great at it. That quote has always rung true for me, but on top of that I really feel this: adults, stop telling kids what they should be interested in. If a kid is interested in something you don't get, when they're an adult it's highly likely that this thing will be a marketplace with hundreds of millions of consumers and will absolutely be a career. If they were involved early, they'll be golden. Most people have a very backwards-looking view of the economy, and don't understand how totally it changes with each generation. Remembering people's names. I'm great at remembering faces and things about people, except for their names. People think I'm inconsiderate, when in fact I just can't remember names half the time. It doesn't help that I can remember massive amounts of dumb trivia and school material, but just not the names of people I meet. My parents used to make me feel bad about being the slowest kid in track and field. I would always struggle even with a 7-minute mile. It wasn't my body that got tired, it was that I felt like I couldn't breathe fast enough. I was always running out of breath and had to stop and catch my breath. 15 years later and I was diagnosed with asthma, exercise/cold/allergen induced. I took my first puff of albuterol having not run for months and getting fat, and I was able to run without stopping. I worked as a private groom for a family whose previous groom was a world-class groomer and had worked for some of the world's best horse riders. I was constantly being compared to her with everything I did when they full well knew I was fresh out of college and only an apprenticeship under my belt. I was happy to leave there. There's a real stigma against sex writing among a lot of writers, that somehow it doesn't count, or that it's just lazy trash. On a lot of writers' forums, you'll see people looking down their nose at the smut writers, with the implication that they only write smut because they lack the talent to write anything more substantial. Weirdly, the people who get most arsey about it tend to be sci-fi/fantasy authors, which are the genres that generally have just about the same low bar to entry and chaff to wheat ratio that erotica and sex writing has. Nah, son. I write smut because that's where the money is, and I self-publish because I like being in control of my own stuff. I like to think I'm a pretty solid writer, but being a starving artist sucks. This way, I get people to actually read my stuff, and I get the luxury of, in theory, at least, working on my more serious projects while still earning a living telling stories that people enjoy. Visualize. 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 You're not visualizing. Try visualizing it and base it on that. I have aphantasia, dude. USMC judges you on your ability to run. No matter how good or bad you are at anything, if you can run fast, you are presumed better at everything. It overcomes crimes, mental retardation, and absolute stupidity. My grade school teacher said my handwriting was so bad I must think I was training to be a doctor. Now I am one. I was told that I was pathetic because I didn't know how to back a trailer with a pickup at 29 years old. I grew up without a father and never had anyone to teach me really much of anything. To this day I've only changed oil in a car once, and that was when I was 16, so I forgot how to do it. The point I had to make to this guy was that nobody knows how to do anything until the first time they do it, and everyone's lives are different. My life played out in a way that I either never had anyone teach me to back a trailer or never had to do it until I was 29. Shit happens. Everything in the internet is true. Julius Caesar 1420. I needed a performance art class for my degree. I took drawing. I made many mistakes and etiquette errors. Did you know you're not supposed to talk to the nude models? I didn't. It's also really frowned upon to request specific positions because you find drawing foreshortening quite challenging. Oh, also, I suck at drawing as it turns out. The professor wanted to give me a D. We had a chat. I told him I should be graded like I was a psych major with no talent whatsoever who did develop a number of technical improvements over the semester. I got an A. He said I should have taken debate instead, because I clearly had a talent for that. Not me, but my brother. When he was in elementary school, when grades are based on things other than test scores, the teacher noted on his report card that he needs to work on his skill at cutting with scissors. My brother is left-handed, and the scissors in the classroom were for right-handed people. I was told by a trainer at work and her equally judgmental friend that I got nothing but boobs just because I act stupid sometimes and don't engage in their so-called intellectual arguments. Fuck, this bitch has got boobs and brains. Empty cans really make a lot of noise. I dropped out of high school a little over a year ago, and 95% of my peers, teachers and administrators of the school openly thought and told me that I wouldn't amount to anything without a diploma. A year later, I'm being taught how to VELF one-on-one, and I just recently started a factory job, making $18/hour on a swing shift schedule, which will increase to $21 per hour after my 6-month probation period. My end goal is to be a welder with the same company. I mostly judged myself. My whole life I pressured myself to be just as smart as my dad and brother, who were phenomenal in math and engineering. My dad has an IQ of 138 and my brother always had A's and made the dean's list in post-secondary. The institution gave out entire cakes to those on the dean's list. I struggled so hard in math. I tried so hard, exponentially more than any other kid, because I felt like if I didn't get good at math, or any subject for that matter, then I wasn't smart. Always a C+B student. Because I wasn't good at something, I very much lived years feeling I was stupid. Then as I grew older I realized that my skills in art were actually worth something. My art teachers were always very impressed. Soon it progressed to people making me offers. The school's police officer even had me make him something. I had some artwork displayed at the city's airport. And when I expressed to my dad that I felt like there were no jobs for me on my degree, he said to try something else. I asked what, and he said art, which I thought was a little funny for the starving artist stereotype. In that moment, it felt like he equated my artistic skills to his intelligence and success. When HR at a company had me interview for a different position than I had applied for, the position they interviewed me for was one I knew nothing about, and told them as much. Despite me telling them before each round of interviews that they had made a mistake, I still had to endure a full day of people asking me questions that I had no answer to. I'm dyslexic, and during secondary school, many of my teachers told my mom that I wouldn't get into college and wouldn't do well in my state exams. I suck at exams, but I still managed to get into college and work my way up. I now have 2 masters and I am doing really well in my current job, where I am always thinking of out-of-the-box ideas. Just because you think differently and cannot express myself well in exams or essays doesn't mean that you can't succeed. There is many ways to do that in life. It just took me a long time to not feel stupid due to my teachers. Once someone on Reddit started complaining about something and said I wasn't a real man for a bunch of reasons. I'm a woman, so they're not exactly wrong.